and this is actually the closest I've ever been to crashing. As an A&P IAA that owns aircraft maintenance shop and a pilot that I still fly the KC-135 on my part-time for the Air Force Guard, and during my running the maintenance shop, as the owner, I like to put my butt in the seat literally first before the owners take possession of the airplane, to ensure that our quality, and that sends a very clear message to our customers. Probably it has definitely shifted how I view doing my pre-flight run-ups, and so on one of these post-maintenance flights, we had done an annual on a T-34, which is a retired military plane that had been sitting for 6-7 years. And the owner called me and said, "Hey James, can you get this thing back going?" And it's a Warbird, so I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so plane had been sitting. I took it through the annual. I actually did this one personally myself, and went through the annual, got it back going. The plane was running amazing, and I was ready for the first flight after I signed the logbooks. If anyone knows Beechcraft fuel tanks, they are a bladder type fuel tank, and the bladder can have small ripples in it that can create little pockets where water can stay trapped. Most pilots will sump their tanks to get any moisture or water out during their pre-flight, every pre-flight. But if there's water trapped in a ripple, it won't come out until you start moving around. And the plane had sat so long, there was a significant amount of water in it, and I didn't know. I didn't understand it. So on this particular one, I had done 3 or 4 run-ups, full power, mags, everything was running great, on kind of 2 days, so I felt really comfortable about taking this plane to fly. I got in the aircraft, and I had a gentleman with me on staff. He's a flight instructor with me, and he sat in the back seat in this plane's tandem, and this is actually the closest I've ever been to crashing, really. So we took off, and my normal MO is I'll go up and kind of loiter over the field for a little while, just to make sure that the engine, everything's running smoothly, especially with an aircraft that has not flown for this long. You don't know what you're going to uncover. And everything was running good. So I wanted to get a bunch of cycles with the gear, so I came back down, and we started doing touch and goes. And after about the third touch and go, so the touch and goes, things are bouncing around, you're moving, that water's moving from those little pockets that are created by ripples down to, into the gas collator and starting to be running the engine. Engine was running great. After about the third touch and go, I rotated, lifted up, we started climbing away. I brought the gear handle up, and as soon as the gear handle went up, the engine, it started running extremely rough. Blah, 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 blah. And at our airport, there's trees at the end of this runway. One side is a field, the other one is trees. And the wind was favoring the side with trees. So I take off, and just a significant power loss, and I can feel it. And I look out, and I kind of shove the nose over as a immediate. There's no way we can set it back down on the runway because we've already eaten up so much. And so I'm making sure that we can clear these trees, and I'm able to push the nose over and maintain just barely a speed and an altitude, and we clear the trees. And my friend in the backseat on our staff, he's like, "James, it doesn't sound good." I know. So but I'm able. It's making just enough power to maintain altitude. So I put it in a steady bank because we didn't have a lot of energy. I didn't want to spin it or anything like that. So put it in a nice like 5-10 degree bank, and just started trying to bring it back. And engine's still just blah 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 blah, not running good. Typically if an engine's not running good and you're in this situation, just leave the throttle, leave it alone, leave it whatever, and don't start messing with stuff because you could cause it to shut off. And so I left it. It's making some thrust, and we bring it around, and I'm looking out the window, and those are the trees right there, and about we hit downwind, it burned out all the water. It's fine. We climb up the pattern altitude. I bring it back, and then my pattern, I come right back in. My downwind and base was extremely short. I just wanted to get that thing on the ground, so I brought it around, landed, and then he and I went into the hangar, and we sat there in silence for like 45 minutes. Went through all the checks on the plane. The plane was fine. It just had water in the tanks. Just because I'm flying a lot of planes that are either going to maintenance or coming back, because of that, I put a very heavy emphasis on the ground run-ups to make sure that you wouldn't have these issues. In this particular case, it still was not I wasn't gonna be able to run it on the ground for long enough to get that water. But for a plane that has sat like that, now I drain it. I drain the tanks immediately, and then I go in there with a borescope to look. And I'll flush it with some gas, and then put gas and then fly it. But that is my standard operating for a plane that sits like that. So it definitely, there's a lot of good lessons in it though. Do a full power run anytime that a plane comes out of maintenance. Do a full power run at the lineup, waiting. You check your mags, cycle your prop, go to full power, and leave it there for a few potatoes. Make sure that it's going to maintain power through that initial takeoff, initial climb out, and then anyone that's been around for long enough, kind of an old school rule is if the engine's running rough but it's still running, a lot of instructors will tell you this, not to start messing with the levers unless there's something that you can troubleshoot. You think maybe it's a spark plug or something like that, but if it's making thrust and you need to emergency land, I would leave it in a state that it's continuing to make thrust. Don't start messing with things. And then another thing was I used to, a lot of pilots are taught to do big box pattern, crosswind, downwind, base, and fly way away from the airfield. Now all of my patterns look like race car tracks so that I stay as close to the field as possible just in case if I need it. I'm not going to be at pattern altitude a mile away from the airport.